Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and expert in Warner Brothers Discovery. I've done more than 85 videos on Warner Brothers Discovery, covering everything that's been going on with it for the past 2-3 months or so. There's been a lot going on. Now, Zaslav is blasting Netflix. First, he destroyed Netflix. Now, he's blasting Netflix. What's his issue with Netflix? Netflix owes him money, and he wants his money. Coming from Deadline, this is an exclusive from Deadline, new streaming war brewing. Warner Brothers Discovery boss David Zaslav takes aim at Netflix over payment terms. Payment terms basically is they make a sale to Netflix from their library, their TV library, because they have a massive TV library. And then the payment terms are how much you're going to pay and when it's going to be paid. And Zaslav does not like the fact that Netflix has an outrageous payment period. They take forever to pay for the stuff that you're making for them. 18 to 24 months, that does not work for Zaslav. So let's get into this article and talk about it in detail. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up when you like it. You guys have been great. We're just about to hit 4,000 subscribers, if you guys say so, and I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for subscribing and supporting the channel. The Warner Brothers Discovery boss has been railing against his rivals' payment terms in a move that could potentially open up a new front in the streaming wars. Because, of course, Warner Brothers Discovery has its own streaming service, HBO Max. It's a topic that has come to the fore after one big TV series, The Sandman, the Warner Brothers television-produced fantasy drama, was recently renewed for a second season at Netflix. The crux of the issue is that Zaslav is unhappy with the way that Netflix deals are structured, essentially paying producers over the course of 18 to 24 months. This is not a new discovery. Netflix changed the way that it parses payments a few years ago. But of course, Warner Brothers Discovery just became a thing when they merged with Discovery and Warner Media in April 2022. So Zaslav is looking at cash. Where is our cash? Well, when they make The Sandman, they make a profit on it. But the problem is, especially when you're doing deals with Netflix, there's no extra profit if the show does well. You take the production cost, they pay an additional premium on top, like 20% of what your production cost is, and you can't just make up any number. The numbers are agreed to, of course. And then it's profitable, and that's nice. But when it's your competition now, and you look at it and basically you have to lay out all the money for the costs of production, and then you have to wait 1.5 to 2 years to get your money back with your little profit. I mean, it's not like it's a risk. Of course, Netflix is going to pay the bill, but you're tying up your working capital. It's not good for the balance sheet. It's not what Zaslav wants to do with his money. He'd like to get paid right away as they start to deliver episodes or some other better deal. Zaslav is now in charge of one of the largest suppliers to Netflix, Warner Brothers Television, which is in addition to Neil Gaiman's The Sandman, making Netflix originals such as Sweet Tooth, which comes from Robert Downey Jr. and Penn Badgley-fronted serial killer thriller You, and most recently Manifest, which it saved after it was canned by NBC. Through the studio's previous output deal for CW content, Netflix also licenses a slew of Warner Brothers TV shows, including some of its most popular library titles, such as All-American, The Flash, Riverdale, and Supernatural. Zaslav is understood to have expressed his displeasure to a number of his key Warner Brothers colleagues over the past few weeks, with some business consequences. For instance, we hear that he instructed his teams to pause selling finished shows to Netflix for a few weeks. It's an odd way of looking at it, one Warner Brothers Discovery insider told Deadline. It's obviously the way the industry works and has worked with Netflix. He's paid big numbers by Netflix, and the company's been happy with that. It's like he suddenly just discovered what the payment terms were. Yeah, this is an executive who works for Warner Brothers Discovery who has probably recently been told, you're not doing any more of those jerky deals with Netflix. You need to fix it. So it's not Zaslav picking up the phone and calling Reed Hastings, CEO of Netflix, saying, hey, we need to kind of renegotiate this. This is what executives are for. This is why these guys get these six-figure salaries. Don't bring me deals where I'm going to get paid in 2 years for things that I have to lay out, God knows how much money, $100, $200 million to produce this, and I'm going to get back $240 million in the course of 2 years. That doesn't work. Because even when you're producing things and you have a budget, there's risk that has to be managed as well. It's really not a great business. Warner Brothers Discovery also recently secured new payments for a number of its shows from Netflix when it launched its ad tier, paying the studio for the rights to sell adverts within a number of the shows. And that's very interesting because Netflix, like Disney Plus, is launching this advertising-supported version of Netflix. Well, what's great is their original contracts did not allow Netflix to sell ads mixed in with the content. So when Netflix does sell those ads, in addition to the regular licensing of the show, they got to pay extra money to David Zaslav. So he can say, "Where's my money?" And they have to give him the money because that's the way it goes. They didn't have the rights to show it with ads. Zaslav is famously a hands-on boss, and his unhappiness with the rival streamer comes after the Sandman renewal. Despite its hefty budget, one would have expected a relatively straightforward and quick deal for the show, which comes from Gaiman, Goyer, and Alan Heinberg, and is produced by Warner Bros. Television in association with DC Entertainment after it was watched for around 200 million hours in its first 10 days. The season 2 pickup instead came 3 months after the show was released. So it wasn't a quick redo. It's interesting because you look at the numbers and return on capital because they're going to look at opportunity cost and they're in this business and they're looking at it and they're also looking at like, why am I financing my competitor? That doesn't seem to make a heck of a lot of sense. If you want to buy a show that we can make that we don't want for our own distribution, fine, you can buy the show. Here's our price. We make a profit. Not that we sit around for 2 years with it. And the way they handle financing some of this stuff, it could be the cash they have on hand, or they could get financing from a bank, and a bank will cover the difference and it's still profitable. But then you still have debt that's attached to a receivable. It's not the same thing as cash. Cash is the best thing to have. Cash, cash, cash. These are not new issues for television producers. In fact, this is interesting. Discovery, pre-Warner Brothers merger, faced its own backlash after it tried to implement a new payment model spearheaded by now Warner Bros. Discovery CFO Gunnar Wiedenfels that would see producers having to finance shows themselves and take out loans to cover production costs before receiving payment on delivery. Warner Brothers didn't comment on this story. That is an interesting story that goes back to 2019. Discovery puts squeeze on unscripted producers with new series financing mechanisms. So this is something that they did before the merger, and Discovery basically went to their reality show producers, and they, on average, cost $300,000 to $400,000 an episode for Discovery to run. The producers usually keep about 10% of that as profit, and the way it used to work was, as the show started production, Discovery would start making payments. So there would be a natural flow of money in and out, and the producers could make money as they were going. And then basically to control their cash and deal with other cash flow issues back in the day, Gunnar Wiedenfeld, CFO at the time, with David Zaslav, came up with this strategy where it was the reverse. They would take up to a year to pay for shows because they were paying for shows on completion. That is different from this deal with Netflix. What Zaslav and Gunnar Wiedenfeld were doing was they wanted to have producers deliver the finished show, which they probably had problems with. You know, when you're paying money out while stuff is being made, it's good to help people as they need to earn and they're making stuff for you, but sometimes they don't have the same incentive to actually finish the work. That was a problem for the Discovery people. But now Zaslav is saying, hey, look, if I deliver the show to you, I want to get paid. And that's what he's telling Netflix, and that's why they're pausing selling shows to Netflix. It should be an interesting dispute. Let's hope they can work something out. But I definitely believe if they're making the show and delivering the show as they deliver a show, they should get paid. Netflix has money. Why not? Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Do you think Zaslav will prevail and get paid for the shows that he delivers? Do you watch Sandman? That's not really even part of it, but I'd love to know. So please do leave those comments. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I will see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.